Alright, back to it. I got the new radiator in. I stole the AC condenser off the rad pack from the Golf R since I still have that. I also stole the radiator fans. The mounting points don't really line up. I got that one lined up. I had to trim this little guy right there, and there's no bolt, but these two guys, modified that just to be sure that that top hose was going to clip on, because I don't want to have to pull this off again down the line. So a washer on there and stuck that guy above there, so it is not going anywhere. So the GTI or Golf R fans will work somewhat, and if I ever need to replace it, I didn't have to modify the radiator mounting points at all, so I can just put an OE1 back on. Did also mount up the new front mount intercooler, going with chrome or silver this time instead of black. Let it stand out. That is an eBay intercooler. I went with an eBay intercooler so I could save some money, and I never had an issue with my other eBay intercooler on my last build, so that should be fine, I hope. And all this is going into this car. It is coming back. It's making a comeback. I pulled the glass out because glass installers are giving me issues about the roof. They're like, oh, it's dented where the windshield mounts. But as you can see, it is perfectly fine where the windshield mounts up. It is just the roof that is dented. So I pulled the glass out just to make sure he wasn't gonna bitch about it, because it was all smashed in, and you know, I'm guessing he really didn't want to deal with it. Also pulled this glass out. Bunch of cobwebs, or for the most part, I'll let him deal with the last of it. It shouldn't be too bad for him. Got a piece of glass from Scrapyard online. So we're gonna put the engine I'm working on at work into this guy. This time it should be done right. Today, or this weekend, I was working on getting that finished, which that is done and ready to go. So I also have to swap my ECU connector to a Mark 6 style ECU, because the swap kit that I got off of Facebook, it's a semi-complete turbo kit, was a Mark 6 tuned ECU. So it saved me about $1,200 on a tune if I get this kit. And if it doesn't work, well, I spent the same amount of money for some secondhand parts, and I have an extra ECU. It is what it is, but I do have to rewire the car, which will be fun for the second time. So I also need to take care of the clutch system on this car, because when it was running before, I was having clutch issues, and the only thing that would be problematic would be the clutch master. So I got a new clutch master. I also got a new hydraulic line. I'm gonna try to reuse the Spulin bleeder block. I was not able to use it last time because, you know, they say it's a high flow bleeder block, but it was in reality a high flow right onto the floor, and I could not get it to seal for the life of me. I tried replacing the gaskets on the clutch line, on the throwout bearing. Nothing would work. And I also did notice when I was putting it on, wipe some of that shit off, the fitment on this, it doesn't really fit. So I don't know if you can tell, but that right there, maybe it's a bad throwout bearing. And you can see it's slightly tweaked to the left towards the transmission. Well, this fucker is so goddamn thick that you get it on this far and it starts binding up, and it doesn't want to go any further because it's too big. Now maybe that is this the sleeve, but I'm going to be replacing that too, and then maybe I can get this to seal. I might have to clearance it or something. But my backup is an OE one if I need to. The OE one is also very tight, but as you can see, it fits and you can still move it around. Like, the clearances are just supposed to be like that. You can see how the transmission is divoted right there for one of these. And Spulin, their junk ass design, got this fat ass fucking square thing. It doesn't fit in there at all. Now, my opinion on Spulin after the last build was I don't really care for them, and I don't plan on buying any more parts from them. Now you may be saying, hey, that looks like a Spulin short throw shifter. I thought you weren't gonna buy anything. Well, this is actually not a Spulin short throw shifter. This is some knockoff version of it. And honestly, the quality is almost 1 for 1. Now, I mean, I got this for like 90 bucks, which is quite cheap considering that they said the whole kit was coming with it, with the other arm and everything. I did contact them since I didn't get the other arm and I was expecting it, so maybe I still will. Otherwise, still not a bad price for just the bottom one, which is the main one I needed to clear the vacuum pump. But yeah, like I said, the quality is 1 for 1. The Spulin ones are pretty much like Chinese pieces of shit. And we'll see if I get this other piece from them. We'll see if it has the same quality issues as the Spulin one, because the Spulin one, the tolerances for this part were extremely horrible. So like how it moves right now and it actually returns to neutral, the Spulin one would just get caught, as you may have saw in some of my older videos after I put it on. But otherwise, that will do the job just fine, and it's nice and cheap compared to everywhere else. Just got the new connector wired in. The thing that really sucks about doing this is that this connector is the same that a GTI normally has. So if you're ever considering 2.5 swapping your GTI, you might want to consider doing a Mark 6 ECU, because then you can just pull the pins out and slide them into their new location. For me, I had to resolder every single wire. I got them all put together. There was only one extra wire, and that is for the leak detection pump in the back of the car somewhere. And the Mark 6s have a 4-pin style. The Mark 5s have a 3-pin, so I have an extra pin. I don't know if that's gonna affect anything, like a light or whatnot, but I have everything else wrapped up for now. I still gotta do a little bit more wrapping, but I ran out of electrical tape, and I also gotta figure out where I wanna route it. But that aspect of the job is done, and that is the most time-consuming and least fun job of the whole swap, especially sitting in this engine bay hunched over. My back is killing me, and I am ready for dinner. So this is probably gonna end the day for me today. I still have tomorrow that I can finish up, because I still need to put new boost gauge in, because I don't know if this sensor on this eBay one went bad. I've had it for quite a while, so I wouldn't be surprised. But I got a new glow shift, digital boost gauge, so that should be pretty nice. And then tomorrow, I guess we'll put in the new master and the new clutch line, finish up the transmission prep, and we'll be just about set. I also finished swapping the fuel pump with my old one, which is like a Works 5 something, or I don't know what it is. It's the high flow fuel pump that everybody gets. I feel like it's a DW 550, but I feel like I'm just thinking 550 because of the injectors, so don't quote me on that. Did finish up the trans prep. I got the new slave on. I put this on there for now. I put it on before I screwed it all in, just to make it easier to put on. We'll see if it leaks or not. If it does leak, I'll swap it out for the factory one until I get a new high flow one that's better than the Spulin. I'm sure I could find a Chinese brand of that too, since it's so junk. But that's ready to go. I'll end up loading that up in the Jetta and taking it over before the shell, just so I can get it mounted to the engine and have everything ready to bolt in. Final prep for the GTI is finally finished. finished cleaning up the harness. Got it all wrapped up in electrical tape and some abrasion tape. I still have to secure these wires. I'm just gonna use zip ties because I don't wanna undo all this bulky wiring. So that's all set. I got the new master in, which is a bit of a pain, and the new line. Went around and detailed the inside, clean up whatever glass was left around and wipe up any dirt from me tromping around in here. So it looks pretty clean. Definitely gonna get it professionally detailed and have all the mold that's in it killed, because I don't trust myself to do a good enough job. Got the back loaded up with some parts. I still have probably a couple more parts to throw in here because I'm gonna get this towed down to my work and finish up all the work there, because that's where the engine is. So I'll put the engine in and get it buttoned up and running there when I have a lift and a hoist and all that. So I'm gonna load up the back. Tomorrow the glass gets done. Hopefully they won't give me any more issues about the windshield. So then the car should be sealed up. I get it towed to work and get it finished up when the last of the parts get here. I still need to order some new headlights because I ended up selling them. At least the ones off of here, but they weren't that great anyways. They're missing a couple tabs and whatnot, so I'll probably just get a set of aftermarket headlights. And eventually we'll get the body work done on this, but that's my last priority right now. My biggest one is just getting the thing running and driving so I can stop daily driving the Jetta, which is a piece of crap. Recently got into another accident in it, so I'm waiting for insurance to tell me what's going on with that. Hopefully I can get some money for it because it wasn't my fault, and then I can sell that thing and put some more money into this guy. Just got the oil drain bung installed. It's actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Once you take this pan off, the baffling goes up to about there. So inside there are little squares or rectangles, you can say. So pretty much you can isolate just this little area. I just stuck a rag over it and covered the rest of it up, so when I drilled this, the shavings only got caught in that one little spot. I wish I took a picture of it with the pan out. But once you drill that, it only takes a couple seconds because it's just aluminum, so it drills really easily. Put the bung in, I silicone sealed it with the same gasket maker as the pan, just to make sure that that doesn't leak. It is a sandwich fitting, but that went pretty smoothly. Put the pan back on, sealed it up, so we're letting that cure. Put the new plugs in. Still waiting on the valve cover. I'm gonna clean up the mating surfaces and maybe a couple other little things. This is my new long block that I'll be using for the turbo build. We got 120K on it. ECU back from Euro Customs. I had to get the immobilizer deleted on it because previous owners said it was already done. It's not, so let's pop this in and see if we can finally start it. All right, got the battery hooked up, got the ECU in. Let's see if she'll start. I got the fuel pump fuse pulled out so I can crank it over, prime the turbo. Boost gauge is working. Immobilizer light is off. It should be pretty well primed. Stick our fuel pump fuse back in. Make sure it's triggering. I don't hear it priming, but
back at it. It is Sunday on Labor Day weekend, and we are working on the car some more. Hopefully the bit of research I did last night will actually result in something happening today. I hope. So, I had told you guys in a different clip when I was here yesterday that I'm missing my starter ground, pretty much the ground that goes between the engine and the chassis. But the starter still worked. That's why I didn't realize I was missing right off the bat, because you'd expect if the main starter ground wasn't on, it wouldn't turn over, but it did. So I'm gonna swap that on there. Brought one from home. Just putting it on now, and then we'll see if it works. I highly doubt it because I jumped it yesterday with just a jumper lead to ground the engine and nothing happened. Because I believe I have a power problem to the injectors and the cam adjustment valve and purge valve. So I need to check for power there and figure out why it's not getting power. But there's the ground on. Just as I anticipated, it just cranks. So, back to my main issue. I need to check my engine connector down here, make sure I've pinned it correctly. Did all my research last night off my codes. So I have a bunch of sticky notes. 7. Aha. Fuel pump relay wire needs to go to, oh motherfucker, I didn't bring my depinning tool, did I? That may be an issue. Maybe an issue. Alright, big whoopsie on my part. I didn't bring my depinning tool, which I definitely should have expected to need my depinning tool. Tried to remember to bring everything, but in the rush of the morning, tend to forget. But I might get lucky.
just got back from the store. Got a cheap little depinning tool. Usually these guys don't really work out of the box. You gotta shave them down, work with Voltac and connectors. But we only have one pin to do, so hopefully it'll work because I did not bring a file. So my issue right now is that this pin number 8 right there is my fuel injector power wire. But on this new Mark 6 harness, I already swapped some of these pins around on here to accommodate. But pin 8 goes to nothing, and it goes to pin 7 instead. So I need to switch pin 8 to pin 7, and then hopefully we will have injector power and the car will start. So let me do that. Got to work, just had to bend this in a little bit like that. Usually use these guys for that big of a terminal one, and these guys would still be too big for tiny ones. As I said, you'd have to grind them down so they actually fit, because these are about twice as wide as they need to be. These are just a little not too wide for what that connector should have been, but got it to work. Got that pinned up. So now the real moment of truth is here. Will it start? Let me set you guys up and we'll test it out. We got our first start. She's obviously not running right, so I'm gonna pull some codes and see what's going on. But holy crap. So I'm pretty sure we have a throttle position code in there. The train's going by right now, so it's gonna be a little loud. So I also need to do diag on the throttle pedal because I did have a code in there before. But I know what to be looking for that. Let's see what codes we have now. Obviously gonna have to clear a lot of these and start it up again just to see what we still have. So right now, the same ones we had before. Start it up real quick. Injection valve, that doesn't matter. O2 sensor, O2 sensor, O2 sensor. Air quality, camshaft position, sensor that so we're not looking bad besides this accelerator position sensor, so also needed to throw in a couple extra relays that I forgot to do originally. So let's go do that real quick, and then we'll jump into diag on our throttle pedal and see what we got wired up wrong. Alright, let's get into this. So when you're probing connectors, obviously you don't want to use these ends because these will spread your terminals out and they also won't fit in there very well. So what I like to do, take a small piece of solder. Since solder is very malleable, you can flatten out the end just like that with some needle nose pliers. Then you got a little test lead, shove in there, hook your meter to, and then you don't ruin any terminals and makes your life a little easier.
solder's pretty cheap, so cutting off a little piece like that ain't gonna cost you nothing. You probably have some laying around. Again, I have my notes. Test the pedal connector. Pin 1 to ground, you should have 5 volts. Pin 1 to pin 5, you should have 5 volts. Pin 2 to ground, you should have 5 volts. And pin 2 to 3, you should have 5 volts. Then I have the pin out to the ECU in case we don't get the specified readings, so we can check and make sure all the wires are correctly pinned, which is a possible chance that they're not, considering the whole ECU connector was redone. So I'll have to swap pins around on this connector yet again. That's why I didn't put any wire colors on there. Turn our voltmeter on. Let's go do a good ground with some test leads. Hook this up to the battery. Put this guy here. Stay. Now we got ground hooked up. Power. Shove in here. Got a nice little holder for it. Now let's go probe. So get the key. Key in my pocket. There it is. Turn the key on. Start with first one, so pin 1 to ground, which we have. So let's go plug it in and see what we get. We got 4.99, so that one is okay. So, the test is passed, which is good and bad. So that's good because we're getting the specified voltages, but that could mean that our pinout is wrong. So now I need to continuity test all the wires to make sure that they're going to the corresponding pins. Otherwise I'll have to repin this connector or the ECU connector, so it'll likely be this connector since I've already changed it once. So the wire correlation doesn't really work with the connector view. But let me go get the ECU disconnected and we'll see if our wires are right. Pull the battery out, which you should at least disconnect it if you're going to be undoing your ECU. So you don't mess anything up. Check out this completed. Don't have it bolted down fully, because I was anticipating having to do this. I was talking to someone on Facebook about doing swaps because they had questions about the swap sheet. Something I mentioned because they said, you know, it just seems like a lot of work to do this. Why not buy a standalone sheet? Freaking bees again. I'm gonna smack you if you come close to me. Yeah. But I was telling him, I was like, well, the benefit of doing the swap yourself is that you already know where some of your issues are going to be. So like things that you have some doubt about, or there's questionability about whether it'll work or not, you can notate those. And if you do run into issues like it not running or something like I have, then you at least know where to start looking instead of just being completely in the dark and having to recheck absolutely everything. So if your meter doesn't have continuity check, do a resistance. Obviously always check your probes, make sure they're working right. I'm going to reuse, or I'm going to continue to use the test leads. I put them in pin 1 and 2 in there. I don't know which one I put on which, but let me go check. So red is on pin 1 on the pedal connector, black is on pin 2. It's just so I can do 2 at a time.
I need to get another piece of solder that I can shove in here, and I need to grab my notes. Got my notes. Got my third pin tool. So we're looking for pin 81 on ECU. You want to do the body side of the connector. I already know to do that, and I know which connector I'm looking for, but you will have to search accordingly. So this one for these ECU pins, since they're so tiny, I'm just going to want to stick just the bare solder in there unsquished, so it'll fit. Count that out again. Let's see, we have continuity. So to do this, we're going to hook up our one side to one end of our meter. And the other side, we're going to check on here, and it is open circuit. We're going to do this until we figure out what pin it's actually on. It should be this guy. Probably not. Nope. Let's try pin 2. So pin 2 is on pin 1. So that definitely needs to be switched around. Of course, I don't have a pin with me. So let's test pin 2 on the pedal and see if it's swapped to pin 1. So that's 82. There's 81. So yeah, 1 and 2 are swapped. Okay. It just verifies. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 78, 79, 80, 81. Pin 81, so we need 1 and 2 swapped.
possible cause for it not running very well right now is that the alternator is not putting out. I'll likely have to change the connections on the alternator, but that'll be something I can do on Tuesday on my day off when the shop's open. It'll be a lot easier to get that from underneath the intake manifold. But I'd say this was a successful trip out here on Labor Day weekend. We got it running. Like it's really the key takeaway from today. I'm gonna scan it one more time, do an auto scan, pull whatever codes I can in case there's anything extra I need to look up. Yeah. Fuck your love, fuck it, I don't want none of it. Fuck your trust, fuck it, I don't want none of it. But while the auto scan is running, I'll give you guys a nice walk around of the car. Show you what's been done.
Yeah, but who needs love? That ain't never changed shit. Still the same, I never changed, bitch. I've been rolling around with the same clique. I've been rolling around with the gang, bitch. Fuck your squad and who you came with. In a foreign car, switching lanes quick. And I'm destined for this fucking greatness. Ayy. And I don't got time for a bitch that's gon' slow a nigga like me down. Cause I keep on speed racing to the motherfucking cash, nigga. I'm a fucking cash cow. Stunning like my motherfucking daddy, bitch. Spend 100 on a ring and a paddock wrist. And the chopper on my hip is automatic, bitch. Get the blessed shit, yeah. Don't fuck with me, don't say that. That bullshit, shawty, save that. I knew shawty since way back when I was eating it up, beating it up, ayy. Eating it up, beating it up, ayy. Feasting it up.
Thanks for watching today's video. This is going to be the new build. There will be more videos to come once it's on the streets. I just wanted to get the car running in order to make this video. I still have a few final touches to fit in. I got to put headlights on. I got to hook the catch can up, make an intake for the turbo. But I just wanted to get it running and prove that it was possible with the Mark 6 ECU and a Mark 5 platform. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe if you want to see more. I really appreciate the support. If you have any questions about it, leave a comment. Check me out on Instagram at Ragged Rabbits. That's where you'll see all the updates first on all my builds. Hopefully we'll see a lot more of this coming very soon. But thanks for watching.